Right, let me go ahead and give you the solution for this exercise. So in here, I do have this test method, can delete student, then given, name, email, and then student. So this is standard. And then in here, I said mock MVC perform. So I added the student right here, as you saw before. And then in here, what I've done is I basically performed a GET request against our API, GET, and then API v1 and then students. And then here I said dot expected, it's okay. And then I use the and return. So this return gives us this MVC and then result. From the MVC result, I've named this as get student result. Then I grab the response from it as a string. Then what I do here is I map that string into a list of objects right here. So list student, and then this is students, the variable name, object mapper read value. We pass the string, and then we use the new type reference. So this is how we basically map the string into an array of objects. So in fact, I don't need this in here. And then what I done is, now that I have all of the students, I then find the student with that email because I need to grab the ID. I do a filter on s.email, so the student from the student that comes from the database against the one that we know, the email that we know. I map to the ID, find first, or else throw. So this is using some Java streams, and if you want to learn about Java streams, I've got a course teaching all of this. But this should be really straightforward. So now that I have the ID, I'm actually saying now when, so this is the when part. So when I perform a delete, and then here I pass the ID, so / and then ID, then the status should be okay. And now I'm actually performing. So I'm using the student repository exists by ID, and this should give me false in here. And this is our test complete. Now, obviously here you can see that I'm using the repository, but if you want, you can also use, or actually you can perform the same request against your API. So the same way that I've done here. So here to perform a get, right? So we could have done the exact same thing, but it's fine right here. So I've used the repository because we have a bunch of other methods that we can use for testing purposes. So now if I run this test, just give it a second. And there we go. You see that our integration test does work. So this is really cool. So now you are aware of how to write integration tests. The next thing that I want to show you is, let's raise a pull request and see all of these tests in action, right? Because this is the benefit of us having tests all around, is because now when someone makes a change, and if they mess up a logic somewhere, then all of these tests are there to safeguard and make sure that the code does work, and we can have continuous integration checks as well as continuous deployment once the integration is checked and passed, as we've done with GitHub Actions. So this is the power of testing. We've done quite a lot, to be honest. As I said, if you have any questions, drop me a message, but also have a full course just on testing, right? So, going in much more detail on what we have covered here. But this should give you the basics that you need in order to test your applications.